It's really hard to confidently say that Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. This has honestly been one of the hardest scripts I've ever written for because I have probably flip-flopped my opinions and my arguments like 4 times over the span of a week. And even after all of the extensive research and looking into the context of things, I'm really not sure about my conclusion, so I'm going to show you all of the research and all of the digging that I found and let you decide. But before we begin, we obviously have to talk about Jon Jones' fight against Ciryl Gane this Saturday. After 3 years away from the octagon, Jon Bones Jones is back for UFC 285 with his heavyweight debut. Get in on his title bout against Gane and all the action on the fight card with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC and today's video sponsor. DK is giving all new customers a winning offer. All new customers have to do is sign up for DraftKings using my promo code TJLovesFights, put at least $5 on a pre-fight money line wager on any fighter, and you'll receive an additional $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Yup, that's right. New customers bet just $5 on a pre-fight money line wager on any of this weekend's fighters, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets deposited in your account if your bet wins. Wondering what you could use $150 in bonus bets on? Try out UFC same fight parlays where you can combine multiple bets from one fight, like which fighter will win and how many significant strikes they'll land. If mobile sports betting is not available in your state, don't worry. You can still get in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. I actually used DraftKings a while back and bet $100 on Tai Tuivasa winning over Derek Lewis and won, I think, about $155. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code TJLovesFights, bet $5 on a pre-fight money line wager on any of this weekend's fighters, and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's promo code TJLovesFights only at DraftKings Sportsbook. So on paper, Jon Jones should easily be the consensus GOAT. Looking at his resume, he holds the record for most title fights at 14. He also holds the record for most title defenses at 13. He is tied with the 3rd longest win streak in UFC history at 13. He is the youngest champion ever at 23 years old. And looking at the people he's beaten, we're looking at a huge array of Hall of Fame fighters such as Daniel Cormier twice, Shogun Rua, Lyoto Machida, Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, Glover Teixeira, Alexander Gustafsson, also twice, Vitor Belfort. He's also 26-1, but that one loss was a DQ for 12-6 elbows, so he's essentially undefeated. So what's the problem? How is he not the consensus GOAT? So you're probably saying it's because of his character. Jon Jones, as good as he is in the octagon, is not a good person outside of it. I made a video detailing his criminal history, but he's not the GOAT because of those reasons. In this video, we'll keep it within the context of the sport. So what is it? Why is he not the consensus greatest of all time? Well, I'll give you 3 words: performance enhancing drugs. So I posted a question earlier this week on my community poll asking whether or not Jon Jones is the consensus best, and there seems to be 2 camps. The first saying that Jon Jones is the GOAT, no doubt, no questions. The second saying Jon Jones will never be the GOAT because he's a cheater. And at first glance, it's hard not to look past what the latter is saying. He's tested positive to PEDs twice. The first time was after he won the interim title against Ovince St. Preux ahead of UFC 200, where he was supposed to rematch DC. The second time was after his win against Daniel Cormier, the second time for the title. And technically, he tested positive a 3rd time for the same substance he tested positive for during that Daniel Cormier fight, but I'll get into the details of that positive test later on. So as you can see, he's been stripped of a title twice because of positive PED tests, which does not look good for Jon Jones' GOAT case. When I originally got here, I thought this was it. Jon Jones can't be the GOAT because he's been stripped twice of a title. Technically 3 times, but the 3rd time was because of his involvement in a DUI, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he got tested positive twice for PEDs and got stripped because of that both times. But let's take a deeper look at those positive tests again. So the first time Jon Jones tested positive, he would specifically test positive for clomiphene, an anti-estrogen substance, and letrozole, an aromatase inhibitor, which also lowers estrogen, and both are said to increase free testosterone levels. However, Jon Jones would famously argue that the reason why those banned substances were in his body is because of some sex enhancement pills he took prior. And the arbitration did in fact find that the sex pills that he was apparently using had these banned substances and called Jon Jones, quote, not a drug cheat. Though the arbitration and the UFC both agreed that Jon Jones was careless in the way he was checking his substances and what he was ingesting, so subsequently he was still banned for a year. But at the end of the day, I don't really see Jon Jones as a cheat here. Even though it's hard to believe Jon Jones at times, taking sex enhancement pills without really knowing what's inside of them also seems like an equally Jon Jones move. Though the second time he got popped by USADA, which is right after he beat Daniel Cormier for the title, is a much more interesting case. So for this test, Jon Jones tested positive for a steroid called turinabol, which is a legitimate steroid used in performance, unlike his first test where he was just popped for anti-estrogen substances that can be found in sex enhancement pills and over-the-counter drugs. Now obviously, if Jon Jones intentionally took turinabol, that would completely destroy his career, taint his legacy, and basically take him out of the GOAT conversation for being a cheater. But there's a catch. Okay, at this point it may seem like I'm skipping around a bit, but I promise I'll come back and wrap things up nicely. So the third time Jon Jones got popped for a performance enhancing drug was right after the second time he got popped for turinabol, and in this case it was also turinabol. However, in this case Dana White and the UFC decided not to ban Jon Jones because they thought the substance was pulsing in his system, and also the amount of the substance found in his system was at picogram levels. Now a picogram is 1/1,000,000th of a gram, and USADA officially said that this amount of substance within someone's body is not enough to affect performance. Though what many people forget is that the first time he tested positive for turinabol, which is the second time he tested positive for any PEDs, this was also at a picogram level. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I couldn't find a confirmed number on how many picograms he was tested positive for the first time he got popped for turinabol, though apparently it should be under 100 picograms. See, this number is very important, as recently, at the time of this recording, USADA has changed its rules on PEDs and the amount that is considered cheating and raised the bar to 100 picograms, meaning anything below 100 picograms is not considered cheating. Jon Jones would take to Twitter and say that he's essentially officially been cleared from USADA and claims that his career no longer has an asterisk. Jon Jones also tweeted out a picture of another tweet by a physician basically saying that he should get reparations from USADA and that his no contest against DC should be restored to a win because of the new rules. Though some may still argue that even if picogram traces were found in Jon Jones, how did the turinabol even end up in his body in the first place if he really didn't cheat? Which is a good point, but this has happened to a lot of other fighters who have tested positive and didn't really cheat intentionally. Take the case of Yoel Romero. Back in 2016, Yoel Romero was popped by USADA for a banned substance. However, he won a lawsuit and $27 million, I might add, against the company for not putting the banned substance on the supplement that Yoel Romero took. And this happens more often than you think. If a supplement manufacturer does not clean their machinery properly, the batch of one supplement can have residue of another batch of a completely different supplement, which leads to situations like these. So those are the facts, and it's really up to you to decide whether or not Jon Jones is truly a cheater. On one side, whenever he did get popped for performance enhancing drugs, it was either drugs that could be found in other things such as sex pills, or it could be the result of tainted supplements. And also, because of the rule change from USADA, he's technically not even a cheater by their new rules. Though, on the other hand, you can see these new rule changes as kind of suspicious and kind of coincidental that it's coming right before his historic fight against Cyril Gane. This could be a ploy to clean up Jon Jones's career, exonerate him from any labels as being a cheater or any slew of other ulterior motives. Though if the best case scenario does work out for Jon Jones, which in this case is him winning over Cyril Gane dominantly this coming weekend and also getting exonerated for all of his positive tests, then in my eyes, he's no doubt the greatest of all time. See, right now my GOAT is GSP. We're talking an equally dominant resume, a double champ coming years after his retirement, and a completely clean drug record. But if Jon Jones beats Cyril Gahn and gets exonerated from his cheater label, then that's it. He has a better resume than GSP. See, he'll have the double champ status very similar to how GSP got his, and if his no contest against DC gets overturned to a win, then his win streak gets extended to 18, which would surpass Anderson Silva for the longest win streak in UFC history. And if we remove his one DQ loss, then his win streak gets extended even further to 22. As much as I love GSP, he is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite fighter of all time. It's going to be hard to deny this resume from Jon Jones and not call him the greatest. Though anyways, what do you guys think? I know there's going to be a war in the comments, so please keep it civil, and thanks for all the support. Peace.